Welcome to the Classic Car Quiz. We'll show you photos of 30 vintage automobiles. Can you guess the decade they were made within 5 seconds? If you get the car's decade correct, give yourself 1 point. If you can also name the make and model of the car, give yourself 3 points. If you said this car is from the fabulous 1950s, you're right. It's a 1959 Chevrolet Biscayne. This luxury car is straight out of the Roaring '20s. A 1922 Duesenberg Model A, also known as the Duesenberg Straight 8. The 70s is the right answer for this sports car, a 1971 Di Tommaso Pantera. If you're enjoying this quiz, be sure to subscribe so that you don't miss our next Classic Car Quiz. Give yourself a point if you said the 1940s. This is a 1943 Toyota Model AC. This one is a Barracuda from the sensational 60s, a 1966 Plymouth Barracuda. This sports car comes to us from the 1940s, a 1947 BMW Veritas RS. This vintage auto was made all the way back in the 1910s. It's a 1917 REO Model M. This vehicle harkens back to the 1980s, a 1983 Dodge Rampage. The right answer for this one is the 30s. It's a 1935 Auburn 851. The 1950s is the right decade for this pickup truck, a 1952 Mercury M1. This car comes to us from Sweden and from the 1960s. This one is a 1969 Volvo Amazon 121. This classic car is from the 20s. It's a 1926 Ajax, also known as the Nash Light 6. This station wagon comes from the mid-1970s, a 1976 Ford Gran Torino. The correct decade for this car is the 50s. It's a 1954 Chrysler New Yorker. This vintage auto was made all the way back in the 1900s. A 1909 Pierce Arrow Model 48 SS. This one is from the 40s, a 1941 Ford Super Deluxe. This Japanese car dates from the 1970s, a 1972 Datsun 240Z. The 1920s was the era for this classic car, a 1929 Hupmobile Century. This is a sleek ride from the 1960s, a 1962 Chrysler Newport. This auto dates from the end of the 1940s. You're looking at a 1949 Chevrolet Fleetline Deluxe. You might remember this car from the 1980s. It's a 1982 Toyota Camry. This old car dates from the 1910s, a 1911 Studebaker EMF 30. This space-age auto was born in the 50s. It's a 1956 DeSoto Fireflight. Did you guess the 1930s? This classic is a 1932 Ford Model 18. This is a car from the late 1970s. It's a 1979 Dodge Magnum. This epitome of 1930s luxury is a 1938 Packard 6. The correct decade for this auto is the 1950s. It's a 1952 Plymouth Cranbrook. This economical British car was made in the 60s. The 1964 Morris Minor 1000. Were you able to guess that this car was from the 80s? This one is a 1985 Pontiac Fiero. If you were living in the 1920s, then you'd be able to drive around in this premier model from Studebaker, a 1928 Studebaker President. Leave a comment and let us know how well you did on the quiz, and let us know any suggestions you might have for future car quizzes. Don't miss the next classic car quiz. Subscribe to our channel now.